Hello viewers, welcome to UVol, the channel for database and data professionals. This is the third part of the topic on a simple project in the field of data analytics using Kaggle, Python, Oracle Database and Microsoft Power BI, and in this tutorial we are going to perform the data analytics activities on a dataset we downloaded from kaggle.com. So viewers, in the last two parts in this topic, we created our software environment with Python, Oracle Database and Microsoft Power BI, and also we did the ETL activities on the dataset that we downloaded from Kaggle.com. If you have not watched the previous parts, I suggest you watch them first to get a better hold on what we are going to cover in this part 3 today. Now let's understand what is data analysis or data analytics as a subject. Data analysis is a process of examining, cleaning, transforming, and interpreting data to extract useful insights, support decision-making, and identify trends or patterns. It involves techniques such as statistical analysis, machine learning, and data visualization to help businesses and organizations make data-driven decisions. A data analytics project goes through a series of stages, and they are: first, defining the objective or the problem. Second, identifying and collecting the data. Third, transforming and cleaning the data. Fourth, performing descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive data analysis. Fifth, interpreting and visualizing the analyzed data. And along with these steps, to make an effective data analysis, you also have to take into consideration the facts that make most sense to the business and help them make decisions. These are called assumptions, and they need to be made in compliance with the business, organization, or industry standards. So we have briefly learned the theoretical aspect of data analytics. Now let's start with the practical activities, starting with defining the problem. So for this project, our objective or the problem is something like: a medium-sized pharmaceutical company with little over 500 employees has been missing their yearly profit target for the last 3 years. They want to analyze the workforce structure and salary disbursement to see if they are overpaying in salary. And the assumptions for this project are: administrative departments like HR, legal, finance should not have employee count over 5% of the total workforce. Number of employees in quality assurance and research and development should be between 10 to 15% of the total workforce. Highly paid employee, that is HPE, limit should be 15 to 20% of the total workforce. Medium paid employee, that is MPE, limit should be 60 to 70% of the total workforce. Please note that this is a hypothetical scenario which is designed and created just for learning purpose. A beginner can understand the data analytics and the processes through this tutorial or the project. Now, as we have defined our problem, that is the first step of the project, and the second step of identifying and collecting the data, and the third step of transforming and cleaning the data has been already covered in part 2, because these two steps take considerable amount of time and they are very critical as our entire data analysis is based on this dataset. I have covered it in detail in the second part. So next we will start the step 4 of the data analysis phase of the project. Let's understand the analysis process through a diagram. So far we have defined a problem, we have a dataset, and we have a few assumptions. We will form a few questions which are relevant for the problem statement, and we will look for answers to those questions from the dataset. We have to form the questions in such a way so their answers lead us to a solution for the problem or help us find the root cause. Like, how much salary the company is paying in total, what is the department-wise salary disbursement, is any department overstaffed or understaffed, how much salary being paid to the HPEs or MPEs, what is the age group-wise distribution of the workforce, how many employees are retiring in the next 1, 2, or a couple of years, etc. Once we get the answers for our questions, by querying the dataset, we have to compare the answer to the assumptions we made to see if they are violating or conforms to the assumptions. That will help us draw some facts or conclusions based on the answers. This process will be repeated until we get answers for all our questions and enough conclusions have been drawn. Then these conclusions will help us provide some recommendation as a solution to the problem. You can make as many questions you want, but the dataset should be able to answer that. It should be relevant to the problem statement, and the answer should help us narrow down to a solution. Now for a moment, just imagine how difficult it would have been to get answers for those kind of questions by simply looking into a raw dataset in a CSV format. But Microsoft Power BI will do this all for us in a very quick and easy way. Let's first start our Power BI application. So the application has started. Now press the blank report button to go to our main report or dashboard designing screen. And here, if you remember, the last time we created a data source connection using the system user, which we are not going to use anymore. So we have to first remove that connection settings so that it's not going to be used in our new project. To do that, first we will click on this transform data, this particular button here, then go to data source settings. And this is the existing connection settings that we used the last time. You can either delete it or you can modify the credentials there. Either way it will work. So I'm just going to modify the existing credentials in this connection settings. So to do that, click on the edit permission. Then press the edit button. And instead of system, this time we are going to use app_user, that is the name of the user, and the password appuser12345. Let's save it and press OK and the close button. Now our data source settings have been changed. Now first of all, we are going to click on this get data button as we did the last time. Then select the more option, and then from the left hand side list we'll select database, and from the right hand side list we will select Oracle database. Click connect, and then again the same syntax that we used the last time. The server is localhost :152.1 / the service name, that is xepdb1. Then we are going to select the direct query option here and expand the advanced options, and in the SQL statement part we are going to specify our most basic SQL statement that we use to look at the data that we loaded, that is select star from EMP salary data. Let all these default options be selected and then press the OK button. And then you see a preview of the data which is loaded, and then we will simply press the load button here. And the data has been loaded behind the scene, and the query 1 connection has been successfully established. It will take a couple of seconds to give us the information about the data. For example, under the data ribbon, we can see the query 1 is listed now. And now we are going to create our first visual on this canvas where we are going to design our analytical reports. So the first thing that we are going to do is to put a bar chart. There are a couple of different options you can see, like stacked bar chart, stacked column chart, clustered bar chart, etc. And out of these all, we are going to select this second one, that is the stacked column chart. Let's click it and it will automatically place that on the canvas. Then we are going to select the data to be displayed in this bar chart. So expand this query, and from there what we are going to display, the count of employees in each of the departments. Let's first try that. So what we are going to do, we are going to select the department field here first. So click on the checkbox, and then we'll select the employee ID field here. And if you see, not much meaningful data is there. So to make it more meaningful, what we are going to do, under these visualizations, we have to make certain changes to this bar chart. So in the legend field, we can see there's an employee ID mentioned, and what we want to do, instead of the legend, we will just move it to our y-axis. So drag and drop the employee ID, and you see automatically it has changed to count of employee ID. So you see, now we see a little more meaningful information here. And out of this, we can see that the manufacturing and production department has the highest number of employees with an employee count of 101. And the second highest is the human resource with 53 employees. And the legal and compliance is also 53, like that. But every time you have to move the cursor over there to get the information. So instead of that, we want this to be displayed automatically. So when the visual is selected, we are going to click on the format your visual option. And there we will select the data levels, which is currently off, to on. And now we see that the employee count is also mentioned at the top of each of the graphs or the bars. So it is little more meaningful to us now. So this graph is more meaningful and convenient to see instead of looking at the raw data, where we can see which department has the highest number of employees and which is having the lowest number of employees and all those stuff. Now let's see this information in a different way. And this time, first click on a blank space there, and we will select the pie chart or a donut chart. So let's select the donut chart here. And this time what we are going to do, again, we are going to select the department on the legend section, because you see the topmost field is legend and the value section is there. So when we select the department field here, automatically it will come to the legend field, and for the values we are going to select the employee ID. And we see the employee ID field is assigned to the details section of the pie chart or the donut chart. We don't want that. We want it to be in the values section. So we'll just drag and drop employee ID, and you see immediately it has changed to a more meaningful picture here, where we can see the percentage wise distribution of employees in each of the departments. This is also another meaningful way to see, and we see it's even giving us the percentage along with the actual count of employees, and it is giving us different colors for each of the departments so that we can distinguish them easily. Now let's change the width of this particular pie chart so that we can create some more room there. Let's drag the bar chart down. Now we can put some more visuals there in the form of some filters. Suppose we don't want to see all these departments together and we want to specifically focus on a particular department or a group of departments. Then what you can do, you can use this particular visual called slicer. So click on that and the slicer will be automatically put on the canvas. Let's put it at the top left corner because we don't need a lot of space for this. And when it is selected, we will simply click on the department field from the query, and you see it has automatically listed the departments there, and there are some checkbox. Now what you can do, if you want to select only a few departments, then you can select it from here. For example, if you want to see the customer support service, you click that and automatically the information displayed below in the bar chart and the pie chart will change to only the customer support and service department. If you want to select, say, couple of more departments, you can select those departments using control click. So press the control button and click on the other ones, and you can see, say, we have selected 4 departments, and you can see that only information related to those 4 departments are displayed below. So this is something which is very useful. Now when you do not select anything in this filter or the slicer, by default it is going to display all the departments. Now let's put one more visual there to get some more insight to the data in terms of the salary disbursement. So when none of these visuals are selected, then we are going to select one table. So a table is placed on the canvas, and what we are going to do, we are going to select the department here, and then we are going to select the monthly salary. Let's see what happens, and we see it is automatically summing up the salary against each of the departments, and this is very useful information. The total salary payment for the customer support and service department is 327, finance and accounting 398,000, etc. And the total amount of salary which is paid by the company for all the departments is little over 4.5 million. Now what we can conclude by looking at these all pictures and the information is something that we are going to put in a text box here. Let's increase the size to something like 16 and bold, and we'll simply put like facts. What we found here, number one, total monthly salary is 4.5 million. Second, manufacturing and production has the highest number of employees as 101. Then the third conclusion is, by looking at the donut chart, we can see that the HR, legal and finance, these departments have over 10% of the total workforce of the employees. And how we can find that out? By looking at the different colors here, you can see which department has what percentage of employees. And for example, if you see the human resource is pictured with orange color, and we see there are 10.5% of the employees. If you want, you can even display this department name against each of the slices here. And to do that, select this and go to visualization properties and then go to detail levels, and it is giving an option level contents where it says the options we have like category, data values, percentage of total, category data value, category percent of total, data value percent of total, and all detail level. If you select all detail level, it will give all the information there, but it will make a little messy in this small space. But so if you want, you can keep it or remove it, it's up to you. It is also easier to see which color is which department here. And instead, and if you like this particular option, then you can actually remove the legend part. So you go to this legend option and switch it off. So the legend is gone, and instead we are able to see the slices with the percentage of employees and the number of employees also, along with the department name. So HR has 10.5%, legal and compliance has 10.5%, and finance and accounting has 10.1%. So we can conclude that HR, legal and finance has over 10% of the workforce. If you remember, we had an assumption like the administrative departments like HR, legal, finance, etc. should not have more than 5% of the total employees. So that's the reason this is an important fact, that these departments are overallocated with employees. And next, we are going to add a new page to our report. To do that, click on this plus button here to add a new page. And this time, we are going to analyze a few more different data, like what is the amount of salary paid against each of the department and their percentages. So this time we are going to add a pie chart. Let's bring it to the middle, increase the size, and then we are going to select the department field first and then monthly salary. And you see the values are added by summing them up against each of the departments, and it is automatically giving us how much salary is paid and what percentage of the salary is paid for that particular department. Now, if you are interested to see only a few selected departments, then again we can do the same thing by adding a slicer here to filter out the unwanted departments. So I added a slicer, and there I am going to select the department field. And if I select, say, only the customer support service, and then control click, say, information technology, and third say quality, assurance, and control, we see only the information relevant to these three departments. Let's unselect them. And now what we can conclude from this particular slide or the report, we are just going to put it below in the text box. Let's reduce the height and increase the width, and we will change the size to 16 and bold. What is the significant conclusion we can draw from this particular picture is we see a bigger slice here that belongs to this purple department, that is manufacturing and production. So we'll put here manufacturing and production department has the maximum salary payout of 822K. Number 2, let's see which is the second highest salary paying department, and in this picture we can see that it is the pink color department, that is legal and compliance, which is paying 570K. So the second conclusion is legal and compliance department is the second highest salary paying department. And the third conclusion that we can put here is who is paying the lowest salary. And here we can see the smallest slice here is the blue one, that is customer support and service. So customer support and service is the lowest in paying salary. And one vital piece of visual is missing here, which will make it little more informative. That is, we also added that in the previous page. We can in fact bring it to here, that is this particular one, which is listing us the salary payout against each of the departments and the total salary payout. So what we can do, we can simply copy it and go to the second page and paste it. Adjust the size a little. And this has completed the second page. Now let's add the third page to our report. And in this page, we are going to analyze what is the amount of salary paid against each of the salary groups. Basically, there are three different salary groups. The first one, highly paid employee group. Second one, medium paid employee group. And the third one, low paid employee group. So how we are going to analyze that? So we have to construct a SQL query first, which we are going to add to our report. And to do that, first we will go back to our SQL developer window to write the query. And I am using SQL query here because it is easier to write and the code is reusable. Structured query language or SQL is a easy to learn yet powerful language, and it makes your life a lot easier when working with Oracle database or even other databases. So this is going to be a simple query. So how we are going to identify which particular employee is from which group? Using this select query, select employee ID, comma, we have to start a case structure in SQL, that is case when monthly underscore salary is greater than or equals to $10,000, then it will be categorized as, say, HPE, that is highly paid employee. Let's copy this line. And when the monthly salary is greater than equal to 7,000, then it is considered as a medium paid employee. So MPE, and else part will determine that the employee is actually an LPE. So if it is not falling under any of the first two lines or the groups, then the employee will be from low paid employee group. And then we will have to end this case structure. And we will give an alias or name to this particular field, which is created here for the pay group as pay underscore group, and then from the table name emp salary data. Now first let's execute it and see what it returns. It is listing all the employee IDs, and against the employee ID it is also listing whether it's an LPE, MPE or HPE. So we'll use this query and we'll take it to our Power BI application. Please note that the salary groups I am mentioning here are just for demonstration purpose, and they are customizable based on different organization policies, salary structures, countries, etc. Also, instead of creating a separate SQL statement to extract this information, you can use Power BI features like adding a measure, columns, formulas, etc. But I find it easier using a SQL statement, and also it is reusable. We are going to create a copy of this first query and we'll just modify the contents. To do that, select on these three dots to the right of the query and then select the edit query option, and this will open the Power Query editor. And here we see the first query is listed there. We are simply going to create a duplicate of this query. We'll rename it as say query 2, and then when the query 2 is selected, we'll click on this advanced editor button, and in this editor we are going to simply replace this query with the one that we just tested for the pay group, and then click on the done button, and it is going to execute the query. It will ask for the permissions. Just click on this edit permission and then click on the run button, and it has listed all the employee and their pay group. Now close the Power Query editor and it will ask for applying the changes. We'll just click on the yes button, and then it will apply the changes to the main editor where it is loading both the queries now, query 1 and query 2. And now we can see there are two queries listed under the data ribbon, query 1 and query 2. And query 2 has just two fields there, employee ID and pay group. And in this third page, first we are going to add a pie chart. Let's increase the size, and then when the visual is selected, from the second query we are going to select pay group and then employee ID. And again we have to drag this employee ID to the values field, and now we can see relevant information there. The orange colored slice, that is the medium paid employee, is 299, which is the 59% of the total workforce. The highly paid employee, that is with the blue color, with 156 employee and with 30% of the workforce. And the low paid employee is 50 in number and 9.9% of the total workforce. And also we are going to create another pie chart or a donut for the total amount of salary paid against each of the salary groups. So to do that, we add the donut chart. Now this is going to be a little tricky. I'll show you in a moment. Let's expand it. And we see that the query 2 has only two fields there, employee ID and pay group. There is no salary field. It only belongs to the first query. In that case, actually we can join them together. And to join them, we need a common field between them. And we see that query 1 has employee ID and query 2 also has employee ID. So we'll be able to use that. But to establish a join between these two queries, we have to go to the model view in the left sidebar. So click on that. It will list out both the queries, and from here we will drag the employee ID field from the query 1 to the employee ID field of query 2. And this is called a relationship between the query 1 and the query 2. In fact, they are representing two data sets. Now below we can see the cardinality is 1 to 1, which is because in both these queries or the data sets, the employee ID is unique. And make this relationship active, we need to check this box and the cross filter direction, both, that is okay. And then we'll save this relation. There will be a connection between these two data sets. Now we'll go back to the report view by clicking on this topmost icon in the left sidebar. And then in the donut chart, we'll be able to reference fields from both these queries because they have a relationship now. So what we are going to do here, first we will add the pay group and then we will add the monthly salary. Let's see what it gives us. And here now we can see the medium paid employee group is getting a total salary of $2.53 million and the highly paid employee group is getting a total salary of $1.67 million and the low paid employees are getting $0.33 million and also their percentages. Now what we can conclude from these two graphs or the charts, we'll put it in a text box there, then click on the text box and the first total monthly salary for HPEs is at $1.6 million. Number 2, total monthly salary for MPEs is at $2.5 million. And the third conclusion is percentage of HPE to the total workforce is 30%. As we can see here, total number of HPEs are 156, which is the 30% of the total workforce. So it is a violation of one of the assumptions that we made, which says HPE limit should be 15 to 20% of the total workforce. Now let's add another page to do some more analysis. It is going to be a predictive analysis considering 67.5 as the official retirement age for the employees. This time we are going to analyze the employees by their pay groups and their age groups. To do this kind of analysis, again we need a different query and we are going to construct that query using our SQL developer application. So let's bring it up. So we'll use the previous query that we used to identify the pay group of the employees and we'll just modify it. So what we are going to do, so we are going to use the first case structure that we created to find out the pay group. We'll just keep it as it is and add another case structure for the age group. And we are going to modify the second case structure to give us the employees age group. And the logic we are going to use is to find out the number of years between the current date and the employee's birth date. And if the number of years is 65 or more, then that employee is considered as a retiring employee because in the next 2 or 2.5 years, he will reach the retirement age and he must be retired. And if the number of years between the birth date and the current date is greater than 60, then that employee is going to be considered as senior employee and which is going to return within the next 5 or 7 years. And if the number of years between the birth date and the current date is 50, that is the employee is 50 years or more in age, then he is considered as a young employee who is still having more than 10 years to retire. And with this logic, we are going to determine the number of years between the two given dates using the months between function in Oracle. So how we are going to do that? First, we will remove the existing condition and we'll use the months between function. It's an inbuilt function in Oracle and we are going to pass two dates here. First one is the sys date, which represents the current date when you are running this SQL query. And the second date is the birth date of the employee. And as it is going to give us the months, so what we want to do, we can do a comparison as greater than 65 multiplied by 12, and then the group will be retirement is greater than 65. Then for the second part, and next we are going to put the second condition for the senior employees, like months between sysdate and birthdate greater than, and instead of 65 we are going to put 60 here multiplied by 12. Then we will be considering that employee as a senior employee, and greater than 60. And the third condition that will determine the mid-aged employees, and here we'll simply change the 60 to 50, and the group it will return is mid-age and greater than 50. And the last condition, that is if the employee's age is not falling in any of the top 3 groups, then by default it is going to be a young employee. So we are going to put as young, and then end the case structure, and we are going to name this field as, say, age group. Let's remove this space, and then let's run it to see what it returns. And now we can see that employee ID, pay group, and age group, all these things are listed there. And we are going to use this query for our 4th page in the report. Let's go back to our Power BI window. We have not saved the report yet, so let's save it also. We can name, say, employee salary analysis. And first we are going to add the third query here, and to do that, again, as we did in the last time, click on the 3 dots against any of the queries listed and go to edit query, and the Power Query Editor will appear, where we are going to create a duplicate copy of an existing SQL query, and we'll rename it as, say, query 3, and then click on the advanced editor, and we will replace the existing query with the one that we just created and copy it from our SQL developer application. Click on the done button, click on the edit permission, click on run button, and it has displayed the output. Now you're going to close this window, apply the changes yes. It will take a few seconds to load the third query, and all the 3 queries are loaded, and we can see in the right hand side under the data pane the query 3 is listed there. And here also the same way, we have to establish a relationship between the query 3 and query 1, so that the fields which are not listed in query 3 can be taken from the query 1. To do that, again we'll go to the model view, and we will drag the employee ID field to the employee ID field of query 3, and it is going to be the same as the previous one, 1-to-1 relation. Make this relationship active and click on the save button. Then go back to the report view, and here we are going to add one bar chart or the column chart again. This second one, that is stacked column chart. Click on that, and that will place it on the canvas. It's increase the size of the chart, and then we are going to select the age group from the query 3, then employee ID, and then pay group. And we have to make some changes here because it's the default view. So what we are going to do, the age group will be in x-axis, then count of employee, that is going to be in y-axis. It will automatically take the count of the employee ID because we are summarizing it in y-axis, and the pay group will be in the legends field. And now it is giving us a more meaningful information. To understand this chart, first we have to see the pay group legend. So the blue color is the HPE, the dark blue is LPE, and the orange color is MPE. Now we can see that most of the MPEs or medium paid employees are in the young group, and only a few number of LPEs are in the young group. In the second bar, we can see the highly paid employees are mostly in the retirement age of 65, and only a few of the employees that are from the LPE belongs to the retirement age, and there is a very little number of MPEs that belong to the retirement age. And in the third bar, we can see mid-age employees, that is the employees with age greater than 50, they belong to MPE. And the senior employees with the age over 60, mostly they are HPE, and second they are MPE, and a very little as LPE. So we can conclude from this particular chart that mostly high paid employees are in the retirement age group or in the senior age group, which are going to be retired in the next couple of years, which will bring down the highly paid employee number in the organization, and thereby also reducing the salary disbursement because they are highly paid employees. Now let's another pie chart here to get some more meaningful information. So click on the pie chart. Let's put it at the top. Increase the size. And then here we are going to put the age group first, and then monthly salary, and this will give us actually the monthly salary by age group, where we can see that the employees in the retirement age group, that is over 65 years of age, are getting 1.49 million, which is roughly 32% of the total salary disbursement. And the second one is the young age, who is getting 1.3 million, which is 29% roughly. And the third one is the mid age, which is getting roughly 1 million in salary and 22% of the total salary. And the senior age employees are getting 0.69 million, which is roughly 15% of the total salary disbursement. Now we want to put some more information in this bar chart so they become more informative. So select it and go to the format visualization options, and under that we will select the data levels and total levels, which will give us the count in the bar chart itself. For example, you see now the MPE count is 161 and the total count in the young group is 174, etc. Now it will be easier for us to make the conclusions by looking at the numbers. So let's select a text box, adjust the size, it will be bold and 16. And the first conclusion that we are going to make is 120 HPEs will retire in the next 1 to 2 years, which we can see in this second bar chart. The second conclusion is 36 HPEs will retire in the next 5 to 7 years, which you can see in the fourth graph. Because considering 67.5 as an official retirement age for the employees, this is the age group for senior employees. Then the third conclusion we can make here is the retiring HPEs will result in a salary reduction of 1.5 million approximately, where you can see that in this second pie chart we see that the slice that represents the retirement age group is getting a salary of 1.49 million, which is roughly 1.5 million. So this is the third conclusion. Now let's add another page to the report as page 5, and this will have nothing but our recommendation, because we have already made a couple of conclusions. In the first page, if you see, we have made some conclusions here, then in the second and the third page and the fourth page. Now we are going to summarize all of them to put some recommendation for the company. So what will be our recommendation? It will be based on what we have concluded in each of the analytical report pages and what we have assumed. If you remember, our problem statement was to see if the company is paying a lot of money as salary disbursement and they are not meeting their profit target because their salary disbursement is more. So in this case, what we have to do, because we have seen a lot of issues which are actually violating the assumptions that we made. Some of the departments are overstaffed, number of highly paid employees are more than the recommended limit, etc. So we are going to put some recommendations which will mitigate those issues. The first one, offer early retirement with benefits that will reduce the number of employees and the salary disbursement on some of the departments. Of course, you are going to offer this to the employees in the overstaffed departments. 2, lower yearly hike in salary for HPEs and MPEs. It's important because HPEs and MPEs are already getting a huge amount in salary, and in that case, a small percentage value will also result in a large amount in total, and by lowering the yearly hike, the total expenditure in the salary disbursement can be reduced. The third one, stop recruiting in the overstaffed departments, because we have seen that some of the departments like HR, legal, etc. are having more than the recommended number of employees for which we made an assumption before. Then the fourth, recruitment preference will be for MPEs or LPE to HPE. It means that instead of recruiting the highly paid employees, the company should focus more on recruiting medium paid or low paid employees. Then the fifth one, encourage internal department transfers than new recruitment. For example, we have seen that some of the departments are already overstaffed, so the company can move some of the employees from the overstaffed departments to the other departments which are understaffed or going to recruit new people. And with these recommendations, you can conclude your data analysis. Now we have seen the power of Power BI, how it has simplified the analysis process with a lot of insights and helped us draw conclusions from a raw dataset. A skilled analyst can do even more analysis and draw conclusions to provide more appropriate solutions to the problem. And with this, I am concluding the part 3 of this topic. In the part 4, we will discuss about the ELT process, that is the extract, load and transform using Oracle database. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.